So you wanna be a picture book writer, then you gotta write picture books. And you're gonna need a bucket load of bright ideas for titles, plots, and hooks. If you're partial to prose or you're raring to rhyme, then repeat after me. It's a challenge, but I'm gonna tackle each story 1 month at a time with 12 by 12.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to our second 12 by 12 book chat. Today, we are fortunate enough to be hearing from an inaugural 12 by 12 member, Kirsten Larson. She will be discussing her second published picture book, A True Wonder, the comic book hero who changed everything. So we're really excited to introduce our amazing speaker, who is not only a hugely talented author, passionate about nonfiction and STEM for children, and particularly women in STEM. And this is a super fun fact. She used to work with rocket scientists at NASA. She is not a rocket scientist herself, but she plays one on TV, or did at one point in her career when she worked at NASA, which, as I mentioned, this is her second book. Her first book is entitled Wood Wire Wings. Emma Lillian Todd Invents an Airplane. That was released by Calkins Creek in 2020. This book that we're going to talk about tonight, Clarion, is that right? I'm looking at my book. And she has 3 books in the pipeline that we're going to show you and talk a little bit about at the end. I'm so excited, as you can probably tell. I love this book so much.
Well, it is my absolute pleasure to be here. 12 by 12 is a place very close to my heart, so I'm so happy to be here. So we are going to read A True Wonder. It's Women's History Month, and of course, this book would not be what it is without Katie Wu, who is a fantastic illustrator. This is actually, I think, the second nonfiction book that she illustrated. So full credit to Katie Wu. It is from Clarion Books, now part of HarperCollins. So anyway, I dedicated it for all the strong and powerful women in my life, especially my sister Stephanie and our mom Jennifer, who blazed the trail with love and thanks. And hopefully I will not get choked up reading this. Here we go. As lovely as Aphrodite, as wise as Athena, with the speed of Mercury and the strength of Hercules. She is known only as Wonder Woman, but who she is or when she came, nobody knows until now. America, 1941. The comic book industry is dominated by white men. And you can't really see it, but we have all these arrows pointing out to all these white men. When Wonder Woman arrived in America, she wasn't the superhero most people had in mind. After all, she was a woman. But that was the point. She had an important mission to change minds about what women could do and to change the world. Her tale begins in towns across America. Comic books were everywhere. Kids gobbled them up morning, noon, and way past bedtime. But grown-ups complained. There was too much bang, pow, bam. They're a menace. Kids will become ferocious. We can't surrender to the comics. Meanwhile, in Rye, a suburb of New York, one father saw comics as a force for good. Bill Marston's job was to review the comics to make sure they weren't a bad influence on America's children. Parents need to know which comics are best for kids. If children are going to read comics anyway, why not give them something good to read? Come on, let's have a superwoman. There's too many men out there. So this is Bill Marston's wife, Elizabeth Marston. And throughout the book, I'm not going to read them because nonfiction tends to be a little bit longer, but there are like little trading cards that highlight some of the key characters in the book. Inspired by the idea of a female superhero, Bill proposed a new comic book character, one who would be a good influence on children, Wonder Woman. The only hope for civilization is the greater freedom, development, and equality of women in all fields of human activity. But first, Bill had to change a few minds. All American Comics, New York City. When Bill pitched the idea, the other men protested. No way, ha! Heroines have been tried before. They flopped, but the big boss, Charlie Gaines, thought the idea was brave, bold. I picked Superman after every syndicate in America turned it down. I'll take a chance on your Wonder Woman. What would the world think of this new warrior?
Wow, there's so much to love and there's so many layers in this book. Tell us a bit about your writing process and how you worked with this pretty complex structure.
I also write graphic novels. This one actually is written more like a picture book. So I had a global illustration note that said, my vision is this would be awesome, illustrated in comic book format. But unlike in a graphic novel, in graphic novels, you actually divide out the page and you say, this is what's happening in panel 1. This is what's happening in panel 2. This is what's in 3. This is what's in 4. I didn't break out the panels. So Katie did all this, right? She decided if it was going to have panels on a specific page, what was in each panel. So I just had the global illustration note about the trading cards for more information and that I thought it would be great illustrated in comic book style. And then like a lot of picture books that are written with a lot of dialogue, I just put like the character name colon and their speech, or I put caption colon the caption, or sound effect colon the sound effect. I wrote it in a picture book format, but I did use those conventions to try to get my vision across. And fortunately, Jennifer Green, our editor, shared it and Katie loved it. And so we were all on the same page.
I love this final spread. Look at all of these women here and their occupations and the diversity. And so without even having to say it, it's, she changed the world, but that's such an amazing way to depict that.
But the cool thing, so I will tell you, so some of these people in this illustration are real people, but Katie also wanted to show kind of those everyday heroes, like, the cat lady on your street, right? So that, that is like literally nobody, that's your neighbor right there. So some people, Gloria Steinem, this is probably like Malala, there's some specific people, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, but some of them are just everyday superheroes, which was one of the themes that I wanted to get across was, we all have power to change the world in some way. And we just have to figure out what is our purpose? What is our power? And I really wanted to get that across to kids.
Your first line, America, 1941. The comic book industry is dominated by white men. And I just got chills, right? Like that is a wallop. Wow. And we talk a lot about through line in picture books, about the heart, about there's so many different angles that you could have come at this story. And actually there are quite a few in here. It's not just about men, but it's also about how the country was changing as Wonder Woman was changing and through wars and so on. I just felt like that was a very brave start to a picture book. And I just wanted to know if that's where it always started for you or if that evolved.
My critique partners will tell you, I am known for like completely upending my books in revision. Like quite often what I end up with is nothing like what I started with. However, from start to finish, this draft probably stayed very, very much the same. There were some subtle changes, but a lot of this was in the early drafts. And so for me, I think the important thing about Wonder Woman is she was really envisioned as this sort of antidote to the super macho superheroes who are always out there fighting. And she always stood for justice and peace. And she was introducing this whole idea of a different type of power, and a different type of leadership. So I kind of, I had to set the stage, right? This was the world, it was an industry dominated by white men. It was World War II. They're churning out these, superhero on steroids comics, rah, rah, America. So I had to lay that out because only then does it make sense, why she's envisioned as this different type of hero.
Liz and Dina both ask about your research process.
So, everything in a speech bubble is real speech. I will say most of the time when I'm researching, I start with secondary sources, and I really appreciate a good secondary source that has a good bibliography because it will lead me to primary sources, right? Because of the movie coming out, there were articles about Jill Lepore's book. She's a Harvard professor, Dr. Jill Lepore, The Secret History of Wonder Woman. So there were some articles by her. And so that's how I started researching the history. I was able to interview Joy Hummel before she died, who co-wrote the comics when Bill Marston, when he got so busy and when he was sick. They always worked under a pen name. So for a long time, it was very hard to know which ones he wrote and which ones she wrote. But interviewing her was like the thrill of a lifetime. I was able to go to archives. They have William Moulton Marston's papers at Harvard. Jill Lepore actually helped get them donated to Harvard. So I was able to go research in the archives there. And there were some other archives in Brooklyn that I was able to access. And then the Smithsonian has a great collection of online comics, and there are reprints. So I was able to work with them. But some of the really cool stuff, because you can't always find it in the reprints, like the Smithsonian had. This is a Wonder Woman of history. This one is about Florence Nightingale, but these were inserts that Alice Marble, that tennis player, was writing and editing. And so the Smithsonian had some of these inserts. I was able to read scripts. So yeah, I don't always get to travel to archives. A lot of times it's emailing with researchers in different places, but we happen to be on a family trip. And so I made it a point to go do some research in the archives.
All right. So just tell us a little bit about these books.
Yeah. So The Fire Stars is another picture book biography. This is actually the second book that I sold, and it is a parallel story. So originally I had written it as a normal narrative, kind of cradle to grave picture book biography of Cecilia Payne, who discovered that the stars are made of hydrogen and helium, and that those are the most abundant elements in the universe. And just as we were getting ready to go on sub, I had seen Hannah Holt's PW deal announcement for The Diamond and the Boy, which is a parallel story, nonfiction, of her grandfather who figured out how to make artificial diamonds, and told alongside how diamonds are made. And I thought, that's really interesting. I think there have been some other tweets around that time from agents saying like, hey, give me something different. Let's look at different structures. Like, let's do some different things with picture book biographies. And I thought, that might be interesting to tell Cecilia Payne's story alongside the process of star formation. The Light of Resistance is a graphic novel about Rose Valland. She was a French curator who saved a lot of art treasures from the Nazis. And then This Is How You Know was just announced. That's coming out from Little Brown in 2024. I should say Fire Stars, illustrated by Catherine Roy. Light of Resistance, illustrated by Barbara McClintock. And This Is How You Know will be illustrated by Cornelia Lee. And This Is How You Know is a lyrical love letter to science. It is for a much younger set. And what mattered to me was showing people what the process of scientific inquiry really is, and how it isn't this straight linear process that we're always taught. And it's really messy and it's very creative. And so it became this like free verse poem that's less than 300 words.
Wow. Amazing.
So again, not what it started out as.
Right. I think we're going to have to say goodnight. But once again, this was so much fun. Thank you for sharing your heart and your wisdom and your book with us tonight. All right. Thank you so much, everybody.
Right.
Thank you for coming.
Have a good night, everybody. Take care.
Bye.
Do it together, so never you fear. It's a handy little way to help you kick into gear. You're amazing, exciting. Look out, 'cause you're writing 12 by 12. 12 manuscripts. 12 by 12. 12 picture books. 12 by 12 this year.